push. So I don't know. I will just go for TNC because I like Demon.
I'm actually going to side with Black. I think the Morphling last pick is a much better game plan for them, just being able to take it a little bit later.
Sounds good, guys. Let's go ahead and send it over for our first game of the day. We have Toby Wan and Merlini bringing you DC versus TNC.
It's almost going to be a sad sight when one of these teams has to leave the stage. There's so much history with these guys, especially the captains. Misery up against Demon. They were former players back in the old baby days of Dota, and now they're fighting up against each other to eliminate them from TI6.
One of them must leave this tournament, and is it going to be Demon or Misery? The old support players turned captain.
Yeah, and
Prepare
I don't think anyone
for
can really
battle.
answer that question. No one who actually tries to answer those type of questions here at TI6 ever gets it right, because we always have the opposite answer. It's just the easy battles. TNC, DC, you never know who's going to win in this kind of matchup.
Man, I'm so glad I get to cast Jimmy. I ran into him in the hotel last night, and I had the pleasure of speaking to him. You know, we talked about the normal stuff. Good luck, you know, good congratulations on winning, and then eventually, it always gets back to Demon's individual play, and he's like, oh, did you see what I did over there? He's like trying to act all abashed, he's trying to bat his eyelashes, I don't really know what I was doing. And then I was like, what are you talking about? You ran around the T1 tower with a haste route, you made them waste 2 sentry wards, and then his veneer of like shyness and abashedness wears off. He's like, actually, it was 3. And then I have another
30
story
seconds to
about
battle.
Jimmy too, which I'll go in later. What's going on in the early game?
You can save it, man. We've got some time. We've got a full best of 3 to get through, and that's where I'm hoping we actually go with this series. All 3 games would be the dream for all spectators here.
Yeah, Jimmy's unofficial name. His official name is Demon, as you can see, but his unofficial name is TNC.5K. Normally you ask a player, oh, what rating are you? Oh, I'm almost 5K. You're like, oh, so how close are you? They're like,
The
oh,
battle
4.3.
begins.
It rounds up to 4.5, which rounds up to 5. But Jimmy's the other way. He's TNC.5K. He's 59.88. So when he loses the game and you go and loses it, oh, so Jimmy, what happened to you this game? He's like, oh, don't blame me, I'm only 5K. Whereas if he wins, he's like, oh, wow, Jimmy, you played amazingly well. What carried you to this victory? He'd be like, MMR don't mean shit.
Man, he knows
He's that guy.
He knows it all translates like that. In Southeast Asia, that's actually 8K. Well,
Jimmy.
into our lanes we go. So the funness in the players, even in the drafting phase before we actually in the lobby before we started, there was a nice little bit of banter going back and forth with even just around the first pick as well as dire side selection. But we have our lanes going up. So Moo, he'll be trying to run this safe lane up against the Batrider with the mid dual lane. It's going to be Saksa. He is rotating over to help out Weehar and keep Cuckoo off the lane. While down on bottom, it is the dual Coddle plus Naga Siren off lane against Demon and Raven, the Drow as well as the Dazzle. Now, at least they've got the range to deal with this dual off lane this time for TNC.
Yeah, TNC might be able to push early. It's with the Naga first pick, you expect it to be played by resolution, which generally means longer games. We saw it in the newbie series yesterday versus Liquid. You can lose really hard, being down 15-20 kills in the early game, but you do always have that Naga backup. But with sustain from Keeper, even like reset from the Naga Siren and the push potential from Dragon Knight and Beastmaster, they can actually perhaps punish the slow Morphling on the side of TNC.
Weehar keeping Morphling down very low, but Morphling's perfectly alright with this. He knows he'll be safe. Got Waveform away, the Breeze Fire still only level 1 for the Dragon Knight, so it's not that much of a perilous burst damage for him. It's this top lane we're keeping a secondary eye on because Beastmaster, he keeps getting heavily napalmed up. So 6 stacks, now he's up to 9 stick charges. So Moo's feeling comfortable here, but once he gets 6 sticky napalms, you have to back up. But he's kept the creep wave near enough to his own tower until now. But just safety first.
Wonder where the first rotation is going to come from. We didn't talk too much about the aggro try from DC, Keeper Alight. Pretty good positioning on the...
Moo down a long way. This is what I was talking about. When Moo gets too far away from his tower, Sam can just capitalize on it, and the Batrider will take the first blood on the top lane against the Beastmaster.
Gotta watch those stacks.
That you do.
I actually remember casting with you earlier. You're like, oh, you need to back off at 6 stacks.
Yeah, you do.
It's like, Toby, you gotta back off at like 3.
Well, Moo likes to live life on the edge. Raven got initiated on by the Tusker. And he'll be forced all the way back to base because of this. He can still leave Demon in the lane. He doesn't really have many levels, however. He went to Poison Touch level 1. At least he can soak up some experience at the moment, and he purposely kept himself away from the lane. You need to have throw range with up at level 6, gives everyone advantage, because TNC are running a 5-range lineup with that throw ranger, so everyone gets the boost.
The biggest problem is they can't pull. They have 2 sentry wards trying to deward their small camp, but it missed, and they have Keeper Light too. Keeper Light is one of the best.
They're going in on top lane with that stun and 4 sticky napalm charges. AU's trying to get the body blocked off. They won't even need it. Move under the cover of the Firefly. Damn, that's just burns. And this DC safe lane not working, and they're forced to bring in the Tuskar to the top.
And with the sentry ward expiring soon on the side of DC, TNC have finally regained control of their safe lane, pick up some levels on Demon and Raven. More importantly, Raven, he's only level 2.5 at the Drow Ranger.
Yeah, that's because of the long walk back home, but keeping back forward, he'll get some help. What do you think about this build coming in from the Morph lane, bypassing the early bottle and going for the double Wraith Band?
That is a build that I've not seen very often. We haven't seen actually too much Morphling mid recently. Maybe he thinks that his supports are going to go for the rune a little bit more, but Morphling's generally one of the better heroes who sets runes. Anyone with a blink or a pseudo blink.
Beast Tuskar. They could turn for this one. AU purposely waiting in the tree line. The 4-minute rune was already taken with the Inferb Ward. The Leather players properly. The shards allowing him to get the vision to snowball up to the Mud Golems. Let's get all the way, and Sam sticks with him with that Firefly. This is now the 3rd kill for the Batrider. He's the highest on the CS. And he's the highest on the net worth by almost 1,000 gold 4.5 minutes in.
And Sam 8, we saw him had a little bit of a rough start on this Batrider earlier, but with a good start like this,
That he will. All the items in the world. You get a Drum of Endurance in under 5 minutes on top of the Tranquil Boots you had. Like, we're seeing some of the Batriders have to stay farming a little bit longer because you see these early drum pickups with the Tranquil. 5-minute into Blink Dagger. Yeah, that's a 5-minute drums. So the Blink Dagger timing is going to be almost on the same timing as if you rushed it.
I think he can just solo kill Moo at this point. He's held his skill point at 6, so I'm not sure if he's going to go for last.
Demon, the snowball's coming in. The Illuminate needs to connect. It doesn't. Shallow Grave Demon controlled just enough that he couldn't get his Shallow Grave off in time.
A little bit of a greedy play, holding on to the grave there, but looks like he would have likely died in it. Actually, he could have TP'd out. They don't have another stun aside from the snowball. You'd have to time it like really well, though.
Or you just get back underneath the tower, let Raven do some damage. And now Raven, this is not the scenario. Like, the Battleron scenario is fantastic for him. The problem you have, okay, is that rotation? No, we house back up the tower. The problem you have is, like, the Drow range now can't find any farm. Like, Drow is forced into her own jungle this early on.
Yeah, she hasn't died, but she needs a safe place to farm. Morphling, not one of your ideal jungle heroes. So ideally, you'd want to like swap them out, especially if it's so that we can farm.
Radiant's
stats.
bottom tower
You actually
is
feel
under
confident
attack.
you can put the Morphling on the bot lane, push the Drow to the mid up
Radiant
against the
structures
DK.
are
I
fortified.
think it's better to cycle your Morphin early than
Dire's
the Drow
middle
Ranger,
tower
but
is
it's also
under
really
attack.
inefficient for him to move all the way
Dire's
bottom.
structures
Well,
are
instead they move all to
fortified.
the mid lane. The Morphling replica's back behind the tower. Weeha going to commit the stuns. They have to realize that is in fact not a real demon. The
Radiant's
bottom tower's
bottom
been
tower
taken out
is under
by
attack.
Saskia as well as Resolution, so there's no problem here for DC. They defend their tier 1 tower, takes minimal damage. You do burn your Dragon Form early on, but you still get the desired result whenever you burn the Dragon Form. An early tier 1 tower
Radiant's
drop.
bottom tower has fallen.
They're still trying to struggle to protect the Drow. I think the best way is actually to pressure the Batrider's lane and to make sure that the Beastmaster continuously feeds and is forced to hook up with his team so they can eventually take that T1 and then trade jungles in the meantime. But alternatively, they can sit down on bottom, force the other heroes out of the Drow Ranger's lane. You definitely don't want the Keeper Light to chain farm this Radiant jungle as well as the Naga Siren, but Resolution's having his way with those full camps.
Tuskar chasing up after AU, but he can't get close enough. Tuku trying to defend against the end of this Dragon Form of Weeha's. When the Illumina keeps hitting the wave as well as the Morphling. Luckily for him, he had a regeneration room bottled up. An extra support behind in the form of Dazzle and the VS.
Demon's missed a Sentry Ward 2 on the mid lane. He thinks that Misery's going to go for a very different ward, and he does, but not quite as different as the Vengeful expects.
It's been a fairly common ward from DC too, exactly where he put that sentry. Just a little bit further south. But for now, 3-1 Resolution up a very long way on the bot, but he's also got Song of the Siren, so there's not a lot TNC can really do about him. Not unless they get that Blink Dagger up and running.
Yeah, that's very problematic. He's going for Iron Talon. That's the recipe in his inventory, and he's going to farm out that Radiant Jungle. Naga is going to have a lot of places to farm. Haste Rune on top, this could be a kill rune for them.
Yeah, they're actually saving it for Cuckoo. He replicated down to the bottom room so he can grab the bounty and get his bottle charges. And now he can help to the top lane where AU is still sitting around the haste rune.
He might be just looking for a gank on Beastmaster if he shows up, but they already have his reward prepped in case that rider is going to move there.
Maybe he's thinking about going on Weeha.
They used to get on top. They definitely want to go for top.
Well, there's the movement. As you said, they go underneath the Dire Observe Ward. The Wave of Terror reveals nothing. As DC has already bailed out.
Probably expecting to have a ward there, but Bat Rider's going to have Blink pretty soon. Just 1,000 more gold.
And then we can start seeing TNC rotate out. Unfortunately for the Bat Rider, where he wants to farm is currently, well, it is being stacked up. He even waits a very long time to now try and get the big stack. One little Centaur does get out of the yellow box just in the nick of time, so that's a big stack for the Bat Rider to take. And the Ancients are heavily stacked as well. He's even got a small stack of his own up next to Secret Shop. So Bat Rider should have his Blink Dagger by maybe actually about 10 minutes.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
Not bad at all. And then they can give the farm on the top lane to Demon. So you're still finding levels into the TNC supports. They need to find a little bit more though for the Vengeful Spirit. Vengeful Spirit spent most of her time just wandering around in between the lanes.
They need to stop the Naga Siren from farming. They have an observer ward. They're watching her farm, but she's just farming up these 3 camps and the lane at the same time, and TNC needs some towers.
Cuckoo. The stuff there from Weeha. Cuckoo, he'll just wait for himself out. He's still got 2 more bottle charges and the next rune spawns up in 10 seconds. So we can make a play for that one as well.
Radiant's
It looks like
bottom
DC's
tower
trying
is
to do
under
something
attack.
about that. They're going to contest the runes. Okay, no, they leave the top rune alone and it will be a double damage for him.
Drow Ranger still has yet to get shreds. Bat Rider needs to be the one to create space. He's actually sitting at 2,600 gold. I guess having a little bit of excess gold from that stack, but there's the smoke, there's the blink. Where are they going to?
It's got to be bottom lane. Already DC have moved down here. They got Dragon Form available. They got to force TNC into an engagement. The treads are only now just being purchased up by the Drow Ranger, so she won't have them for this engagement.
If they don't stop the Naga Siren, they have to last of the Naga Siren, then maybe Dragon Knight can rebut with a quick dragon hit.
They have the smoke. So Bat Rider needs to Firefly over the tree line. The closest one is Weeha, and that's a good target for them with 3 heroes behind.
Yeah, Naga's...
Radiant's top tower
Lasso,
is
and
under
they bring
attack.
in more. They actually bring in the whole 5 players of TNC, and Weeha to the tier 2 tower will drop. Vengeful Spirit doesn't have level 6, so we probably won't be able to catch up to Misery. Even with the movement speed, the Bat Rider Firefly will wear off. Misery is back up the lane, charging back to his own tier 1.
Radiant's top tower is
Moon
under
looks like he's going to
attack.
get a free tower on top in the meantime.
Really good space for him as well, building for that early Necro. After what was a bit of a disastrous start, feeding those 2 kills to the
Radiant's
Bat
top
Rider.
tower has fallen.
Naga Siren getting recalled. They still want her down here. Farm safely.
She's got 1,000 gold to
Radiant's
go
top
before she got the
tower
relic.
is under attack.
Radiance won't be too far off that. Raven, still in the lane. Resolution doesn't have a single point up in Ensnare. So have to rely on Song of the Siren to prepare for the Tuskar control. And with a snowball forward, Drow Ranger thought he could actually get his TP out.
Can this be?
But it wasn't possible. Back in the mid lane, Morphling able to catch out the Dragon Knight. Again, they have more health coming in from the Bat Rider. Even without Lasso, they're able to find the kill on the DK and now
Radiant's
Sam.
top
He goes in
tower is
deeper,
under
looking for
attack.
Misery. No Firefly, but the Flame Ring pushing Misery back closer, looking to keep the Sticky Napalm charges up. And Misery, well, the Flame Break burn has worn off.
And that was perfect flame break coming out from Bat Rider. Expertly placed. Doesn't even
Dire's
need to
middle
use
tower is
Firefly,
under attack.
let alone Lasso.
If he can just get his mana up a little bit more, he can have his Lasso now.
He has
Firefly
nothing
in, you look for the Song of the Siren, no Song of the Siren, Naga Siren. There's Resolution on the run, Sticky Napalm, drum charges, give the movement speed, there's that Tuskar save, but they can just keep it going. Resolution has 2 stacks on him, the swap back, and Resolution, he's so close to his relic money, he'll die just short of it, and the Tuskar will go down too. TNC, fantastic rotations. So much of it's made possible through this Bat Rider, involved in all 8 of them. They can go for the Roar, but Cuckoo's still got a replicate. Actually, no mana. Cuckoo's in trouble. He can't get himself out of this one. No, he'll actually find the kill over on Cuckoo. The early
Radiant's
Necrobook's
middle
paying
tower
off.
is under attack.
Morphling could have
Radiant
maybe used his
structures
replicate
are
to
fortified.
block a little bit. You want to block either the boar so that you can run away, or block the Beastmaster so you're not taking so much right-click damage. He doesn't actually have to move on the Beastmaster, so
Radiant's
it should have been
middle
more
tower
difficult for
has
him to
fallen.
chase.
Some small things going the way of DC. Overall, everything's been fairly even. No one's really got a big gold advantage. The experience is going a little bit the way of TNC, but not by that much.
Yeah. Even if Naga gets Radiant, Morphling can easily replicate herself or one of the mirror images and farm up, so not terribly
Radiant's
worried
top
about
tower
the
is under
Naga
attack.
Radiant. It's not a timing that DC can do all too much with, especially without a mech for them. The DK is fairly vulnerable. Naga's not level 11, so they can't really pick fights willy-nilly without song.
Yeah, and that's why you just go to the split push. Once that Aghanim Scepter's over on Misery, every lane will be a split push lane. TNC are on the hunt. The double damage rune on the top river taken by Cuckoo. Didn't get a glimpse of Weeha. We are
Dyer's
actually
middle
moving to the
tower
mid lane
is
with a
under
jump.
attack.
The Observer Ward right behind that tier 1 tower. They scintillate Moon. No Necrobooks available. The Morphling waveforms in. So Cuckoo, and it would sure his last hit. The Illuminate will hit from
Dyer's
Misery, but it's only a level
structures
2,
are
so minimal
fortified.
damage, easily repaired by a Shadow Wave of Demon.
Dyer's middle
And
tower
in fact, the
has
Baron's already
fallen.
looking for more. Getting
Dyer's
Misery back
middle
behind his
tower
own
is
tier
under
2,
attack.
and this is an early
Dyer's
draw range,
structures
remember,
are fortified.
which means tier 2 towers take a lot of damage. Demon press another Observer Ward back behind the line. Says that Sam, a great flame break.
Dyer's
Misery's in
middle
trouble. The
tower is under
snowball
attack.
will save him, but then they move forward. Only the creep waves, not too far away. Blinding Light forcing TNC out, but then the swap, they bring in the Tusker. No snowball. The Morphling wave
Dyer's
forced in the
middle
only
tower
tier 3
is under
tower now.
attack.
TNC assaulting Digital Chaos. The flame break, it hits Misery. He's got 3 sticky nade
Radiant's
punches. He's
bottom
gonna
tower
burn
is
us with
under
those
attack.
tier 4s.
Damn Age following up with this fantastic Void performance yesterday. Today on the
Dyer's
Bat Rider,
middle
they thought they could
tower
just
has
stall
fallen.
with the Keeper alive, but Bat Rider
Radiant's
is just
bottom
constantly
tower
on
is under
top of
attack.
them.
They're going in 15 minutes
Dyer's
in. The
middle
Dragon
tower is
Lands
under
are
attack.
almost done, but they're not there yet. You've now got TNC just chipping away in the tier 3s. DC is respawning, but there's no reason to force the issue any further. You don't want to give DC a chance
Dyer's
to get back
top
in this.
tower is under attack.
DC's really relying on their cooldowns. The Dragon Knight ultimate, they killed him while he had his ultimate up. That's like a minute and a half cooldown afterwards. Beastmaster revolves around 80, 90 seconds with Necro 3 and Roar, or Necro rather, and Roar. But they're not really able to constantly fight, and TNC are just looking for fight after fight after fight after DC uses anything of value.
Looks like DC are off on a smoke maneuver. They'll find the bounty in bottom river. They do take it, looking towards Roshan. TNC are not there. And in fact, this is going to, yeah, DC, they're going to give it a crack. They've got Necrobooks, they've got Boards, they've got a lot of survivability. And they'll attempt to bring down Roshan while TNC aren't looking.
Tusk has added value in this
Dyer's
scenario
top
with the
tower
sigil.
is under
Certainly
attack.
helped despite Roshan's recent attack speed buff. And the board too, so.
Seems like a good time for DC to almost falsify. You've got all your ollies, as you said, and the Radiance just got completed on the Naga Siren, so if TNC do want to try and contest this, they could find themselves in a bit of a pickle.
Well, looks like they're scouting out right now. Morphling made a replicate. The Naga Siren illusion is going to head to Roche, but it's going to be far too late.
Yep, it's actually not even going down to Roshan, it's headed to the bottom
Roshan
lane.
has
So the whole will
challenged
get
the
killed
tower.
off by the Radiance burn, but Roshan belongs to Digital Chaos. And they'll put it in the hands of the Dragon Knight.
He's not the best Aegis carrier in terms of him not being able to respawn with Dragon Form, but he's still going to be in the front line. He's struggling mightily in terms of CS and levels.
It gives him the confidence to buy the straight Blink Dagger, knowing you don't have your buyback at least.
Yeah, but it also gives TNC a lot more incentive to go for the Naga Siren.
Yeah. That's where Tusker comes into play. Hasn't really been, like, there's been a couple of saves, but can't get him out of trouble.
He has to be really careful though with the snowballs. He's been really good about it. The one where he tried to skip to neutrals, the one
Dyer's
where
top
he like
tower
tried
is under
to
attack.
make it look like he was casting on all the TNC heroes, but he actually cast it on the creep, and they all backed away to get some more distance from the snowball. But if he has a bad snowball and they get like hit into a gust, that could just be horrendous fight for DC.
DC 4-man smoke, they headed up to the top lane. They don't want to give up this tier 1 tower. And TNC, they're also going to 4-man smoke. They head
Dyer's
over, there's a
top
Radiant
tower is
Observer Ward
under
and a
attack.
Dire Observer Ward down. But of course, under the cover of smoke, both teams are none the wiser. Firefly up from the
Dire's
Batrider.
top
He's
tower
looking for
has
moves,
fallen.
pulling too far up. The Stunner, well, he gets the lasso, but now Song of the Siren. Resolution will hold the fight, so DC can reposition. The Illuminate will not really connect that heavily on the Batrider. They're going to swap Weehaw back in. There's a lot of sticky napalm comes up. She lets off as much damage as she can before he'll die. The Aegis Immortal burst. Remember, no Dragon form when he comes back to life again. And Sam keeps going in deeper. The roar out from Moo, but they're so low on life, they have to back up. That replicant, it does so much damage. It was burning with the Radiance. The Morphling has gone in deeper. He'll find the Beastmaster while Sam is on the run. The Necro unit trying to find the Batrider. It just wants to hit him once and can't do it. Kuku might be a little bit too deep under the tier 2 tower. But then again, this is a Morphling,
Radiant's
strength
middle
Morph,
tower is
2400
under
life. And with the help of the rest of
Dire's top tower is
TNC,
under
they take a
attack.
good fight against DC.
Yeah, I really like how involved Kuku has been. He can just do so much damage just with a simple replicate. He doesn't even really need that many items on himself, albeit he is pretty darn
structures
farmed. The
are
early earn from the
fortified.
Mental Spirit so they can deal with the Radiance burn. I see an early
Dire's
cloak
top tower
on
is
the
under
Dazzle. We've
attack.
seen a lot of teams forego the Pipe of Insight as they're trying to push high ground versus heavy magic damage dealers, Mirana, Keeper of the Light, and this game it seems like the Pipe is going to be of utmost importance.
Is this one of these games too where you wonder if the Naga's Radiance works against you with the replicate? We saw it with the Nyx Assassin back in one of our group stage games.
A little bit. It's
Should
just
this almost be turned off until you see a replicate?
Oh, definitely not, because you need to accelerate your own farm, and Morphling's going to get farm regardless, but it would just hurt your farm too much if you
Radiant's middle
split
tower is
without
under
the
attack.
Radiance. So Morphling and Naga kind of even, I suppose. Like, Morphling's lower in net worth, but this is where he's weaker in the game. He doesn't have a farm accelerator like Radiance, and he can replicate the Naga Siren, but it's more the Dragon Knight versus the Drow Ranger, and Drow Ranger is far ahead of the Dragon Knight. And we didn't even go for a farming item, we went for a Blink Dagger.
And went for initiation. See if he can get that catch before the 4 starts.
Yeah.
Pull TNC away to safety.
They don't have a hero that can stick on the Drow. Normally you see like a very strong armlet carrier in front, like Lifestealer is a good example of a hero that's just like, okay, I'm just going to run at the Drow Ranger to disable marksmanship. But right now they don't have a hero that can do that. They can't stick on top of the Drow Ranger. And on top of that, she has Yasha and Dragon Knight, so she's not going to be at the forefront of the fight.
TNC are grouping up again for the top lane. Their Sentry Ward is in fact in range of that Dire Op, they just don't have vision on the hillside. So DC still know
Dire's
exactly
top
what
tower
TNC
is
are up
under
to.
attack.
And that's why they're bailing out. They're
Radiant's
forcing into the
bottom
tier 2 tower
tower
on bot
is under
lane.
attack.
Weeha's already down there,
Invisibility.
and they just try and
Dire's
push out
top
the mid
tower
lane if
has
possible.
fallen.
TNC are slow in Aegis. They still take fights despite TNC having the Aegis. They're not really worried, even though Naga had a really early farm. It seems like they were
Radiant's
clearly
bottom tower
prepared
is
for
under attack.
like, an early
Radiant's
Naga pick
bottom
from
tower
DC,
has
considering
fallen.
how well it worked out for them in the group stage as well as at the means.
Nice rune for Moon to find. He's going to actually have an invis, but fortunately for him, everyone else is just so far away. And they're not finding any kind of opening. But they do put down some aggressive Observer Wards through the TNC Radiant jungle. DC do want to find an opening. We will have one, maybe a little bit more difficult now to kill off the Morphling as he finishes up a full Lincoln Spear to go along with that Dragon Lance.
I think TNC are going to hit their timing really soon too. They're buying a lot of early game items, way more so than normal. The Urn and the Vlads on the Vengeful Spirit. We see Dazzle with the early Hood, as opposed to a Glimmer, which I think is more skirmishy. I think they're just trying to end the game pretty early, maybe get next Roach and try and screw up the cranks on DC, pin them to their base.
Well, with the Dragon Lances, they can attack in, so hey, why not?
Yeah, double Dragon Lance too.
What's DC going to do right now? Like, you Song of the Siren, but TNC already proved, like, Song of the Siren, TNC had all the time in the world to prepare for it, and TNC still won the fight against an Aegis lineup.
Yeah, they have great sustain. If you don't kill people after Illuminate, they can easily heal up with the Shadow Wave too, which Demon has maxed out. So you're not really going to be able to slowly chip him down through Radiance Burn and Auto Illuminate, which is what this strategy relies on.
I'm liking this from DC, however. Like, don't commit any heroes, just put 2 balls on the top lane to push into the tier 2 tower and force some kind of reaction from TNC. TNC don't have as easy a lineup to drag
Radiant's
everyone
top
in
tower
because they
is under
don't
attack.
have the recoil that comes in from the Keeper of the Light. And Misery's going to have to start using that soon. He's already triggered his Ghost Form and he's halfway through the duration.
Yeah, without Scepter though, not going to be easy for them. And TNC are lacking a gem at the moment,
Dire's
lacking the
bottom
completed
tower
pipe, so
is
they're not
under
like
attack.
super ready, but ready enough.
It's enough for TNC to take a tier 1 and a tier 2 tower.
Dire's bottom
Get a ward
tower
up on that
has
hillside
fallen.
before DC try and fight you. The Beastmaster
Dire's
really needs to have that
bottom
blink
tower
dash
is under
before they're ready
attack.
to go.
Does he want to use Necro 3
Radiant's
for his
middle
push though?
tower
Like he has
is under
the
attack.
option of pushing the left side T2 as TNC are going for this push, but if he uses Necro 3 and they push high ground, then
Dire's
A free
bottom
wave. The
tower
nice
has
jump. They
fallen.
found Tusker. Sam again finding the picks, the 4-star. Helping the Dragon back out with the extra range from that Ether Lens. Finds the grab, and DC, they're a man down. And with the Observer being planted nicely inside the DC base, TNC have nice high ground vision. So Sam can once again maybe make a play. Misery's a little bit too far out with a blink forward. They just explode him. The captive strike, a little bit of Firefly, and that's all you need to kill off the Keeper of the Light. There's no buyback for Misery.
again TNC with a very cleverly placed Observer was. Keeper of the Fight thought he had the help of Fog on his side.
Dire's
But he also had the help of the
structures are
Hawk, which is
fortified.
now there. Fortification, tries to slow things down. Good thing Moo didn't commit those Necro 3s to the push on the top lane, but on bottom, that tier 3 tower is almost caught. They're killing off the Replicant in the tree line,
Dire's
so at least they don't have
bottom
to deal
tower
with the
has
Radiance Naga burning themselves. But that range, that melee is almost down. Charles will fly forward, Keeper of the Lights back up, Necro books forward, Weeheart blinking as he's keeping himself in the back lines, controls up Demon nicely. There's still a Shallow Grave available, Demon will use it himself as this fight split the multiple parts. Naga now has to buy it back, and Demon TP's out. Raven with that damage from the Hurricane Pikes, almost killing Weeheart, and the rest of TNC move down. DC, they're losing way too much here. They need to find an opening with the lasso. They hold Resolution. They can't have a dieback here. In fact, Sam now manually 4-star will help actually drain the mana, hitting the Sun of the Battle Runner locked inside the shards. He will be snowballed down, so DC, it is a costly defense, but they do hold TNC out and maintain the life of their racks.
Hanging on for dear life. Melee racks, half HP. Don't think TNC can go for another push, especially with Roshan respawning so soon. It's actually going to respawn in the next 10 seconds or so, but that's your worst nightmare as an Naga Siren. Going for the base defense, having to help your team out this game when you have heroes that can stall. I think Tusk and Keeper are both pretty darn good at stalling. Even the Beastmaster split pushing out another lane should be enough to dissuade TNC from reaching the high ground. But when your Naga has to get involved, and then she dies, and then she has to buy back, you know you're in a really tough spot.
DC need to slow this game down if possible, but TNC, they look like they want to go faster. A Blink Dagger pick up on the Morphling, leaning more towards the lines of just straight pick off from TNC and go high ground again.
You can't fight into DC's position. You have to break like the Keeper of the Light. You always have to force them to turn around, not cast full duration illuminates, and more importantly, access
They see
Siren on the back line.
They see AU blames war. Raven's gonna be here with a gust, goes onto the Beastmaster. AU low on life, but the Shallow Grave kicks in from Demon in time. Actually, he'll be there for the Vengeful Spirit. Even with a swap, he can't get away, so 2 supports down for TNC. Hard to break the lines now, but Cuckoo in through the rear. They don't have to turn around. I'm not certain about this. You're right. Weeheart, he'll come free. Got Culling Blade up his sleeve, so he does get out. But then Raven and Sam looking to focus on him. The ball's keeping him slow. The snowball, he'll close the distance now between DC as well as Sam. He's the big one. It's the Batrunner. There's so much work already for TNC. Taking a fall. And now it's DC who are on the push. Attacking to the tier 2 tower and Morphling having no real influence. Even if he is full life behind them.
The beginning of the fight just started off so well for
Radiant
DC. They went on the Vengeful Spirit and stunned the Dazzle at the same time, so they could just nab both supports. Ooh, that was a quick blink out.
This gives DC something to work with, but Cuckoo in through the side, finds the Tusker. Resolution can trigger the Lincoln Sphere thanks to Ensnare. Weeheart, then the stun, and Breathe Fire. Keeping Cuckoo low with the Blink Dagger back off cooldown. He's just so maneuverable with this item. And then Replicant. Where does he want to go? He looks down towards Moo. The Song of the Siren out from Resolution. Where's the support? It is not there. DC just want to get out of here. Straight up TP home to safety. And they know that TNC have to come back. The bottom lane's pushing in too heavily, but it looks like TNC with no Song of the Siren up, they want to go for Roshan.
Wow, normally, like, Tunnel Center's not that big a deal, but for this, it's huge. There's no way they can defend Roshan without it.
Misery's going to try the Blinding Light. No one gets clipped.
They have the Hawk on the side, but Roshan's too low. They're trying to recall, but Morphling already having Aegis at the Mortal. I like the timing from TNC. Any small mistake from DC, immediate reaction, and they just got roasted off of one song.
That they did. TNC. It's the reason why you can say they deserve to be at this point of the lower bracket, to have a top 8 position, fighting for that top 6 if they can win this game.
And they still have that observer ward on the right lane too. It's still up for 1 more minute. This is a really good time for them to push right now.
Yeah, it has to be swapped back out again. The Raw goes on Vengeful Spirit. The double 4-star getting AU a long way away to safety. They trigger the defensive weave too, so DC can't really pump in a lot of physical damage.
Uh-oh, there are no green diamonds for DC. I don't see any ultimates up for them aside from Dragon Knight. That's not a good sign.
Have to wait. There's 4 seconds until Song of the Siren's up. So they do have that. So Beastmaster Raw, 50 seconds, 70 seconds in his Necros too. But he did at least find that Observer Wall of bottom lane. So that is now gone. And the Necros, they can stand their ground. Actually, there's no creep wave. The mid creep wave is all the way back at the mid river. TNC's waiting for so long for this.
Morphling goes
That's deep. He's not going to get out of this one, or is he? They've got the control. He's straight morphing up. The wall in front. One 4-star, but they got another one. Cuckoo, well, they can just stand his ground and fight. He kills the Coddle over the tier 4 towers. Cuckoo, he actually gets away with murder. Outside the base, DC can't stop him.
Yeah, he ran in with a Naga illusion and they manually they're trying to focus it down and he just comes in. That was so deep.
It's crazy to think he's getting these kills too. Like, it shows you how weak the Coddle is. When you don't have an E-Blade, you have a Lincoln Sphere Hurricane Pike Morphling.
The Dragon Lance is extremely useful for the strategy that they're going for. Normally, Morphling you don't see get involved until 20-25 minutes, but he's been involved all game.
Seems to be great ways to kite too. Like, it's the perfect combination with these like Core Staff and Dragon Lance into the Hurricane.
Mm-hmm. And they're showing up for late game. They have the Morphling already. They have the Maelstrom on Jar Ranger. I really just like the Axe first before the Maelstrom. I think the way better progression is Maelstrom first into an Axe.
We're seeing this multiple times throughout even just the playoffs. But this seems to be the build they lean towards.
Do have a replicate of the Bat Rider, so maybe Cuckoo trying to look for a pick off with that, especially if Tusk or someone else wants to go on that. DC, they still need more time. I think one of the more important items for them is to keep the light Ags, so they can actually win a team fight off the heel and split push additional lanes with a permanent recall.
You'll need time to farm that up, and where's he going to get it? Like, inside of his own jungle? You want to stack and farm there when TNC are moving as heavily as they are? Just like now, they smoke maneuver down the mid. That's what the Replicate is there for. It allows
Raven
Morphling to stay with him. Resolution so close. They scan inside the base. They don't realize that Resolution is there. No one took the Radiance burn.
Radiant's bottom
And now,
tower is
the
under
Observer
attack.
Ward. They'll find it. Song of the Siren attempted by Resolution. This is the gem of DC. Also lost.
Ask permission
Wow,
the
that
next
timing of
time
the
you
smoke
want.
could not have been better. However, DC,
Their bottom lane, they're attacking the tier 3 towers. Sam's going to come in a very quick blink from Weeha. Just to supply it.
Radiant's bottom tower is
The
under
Flame Break
attack.
was in the air. Vengeful Spirit out of mana. And Weeha will get recalled. No damage from TNC to cancel that. So Misery pulling back Weeha, doing a good job. That bottom tower now down to 390.
very timely coordination from DC too. Stun out on the VS, drain her mana, so she can't stop you. However, they're marching down mid. Still a healthy minute left on the Aegis of the Immortal.
That Song of the Siren is off cooldown, and if DC can keep them out for another 23 seconds.
Uh-oh, Morphling has to be on near buff on him.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to wait a little bit longer on that one, Resolution. There's no fortification, but they don't want to take any chances. The bottom lane's just being pushed in the middle. Replica of the Drone Ranger. And that has done almost half damage to the range racks. And even managed to pick off the Sigil. Someone, okay, finally they get rid of it.
But you could tell they were scared. They're like, oh, is he gonna replicate on us?
Now they need a scythe or something. This would have been a beautiful game to have something like a lion to get rid of that damn thing.
Ideally, but yeah, they were not prepared for this. And their supports are really struggling to get items. Soxa and Misery both sitting at the bottom of the network chart at the moment. So another buyback expended for old Naga Siren. She's still like decently farmed #1 on net worth, but that's so much gold loss for DC when all their eggs are in the Naga basket.
TNC, 5-man again, straight down the mid. They have one creep alive that can turn off the back door.
So I don't really know who they jump at the moment. If they jump the morph, they'll throw the Mjolnir buff on him, and he'll just strength morph. And then they'll waste like half their spells, like DK ult, PM ult with Necro.
But can you jump on the Drow Ranger? At least she doesn't have magic immunity.
They'll swap the Drow Ranger out if they go on Drow. So I think it has to be like a simultaneous engagement. Tusk on one, and then they have 3 different like stuns and range stuns at that. Well, I guess Snowball's not really range, but close enough.
This could be a better way for DC to do it. Until before TNC are properly grouped up as 5. They're fairly close together. The most obvious one is Raven currently on the top lane. He's just farming up one of the illusions. Actually, Hurricane Pike to farm that illusion up, and they jump perfectly. Raven will drop. Now they move down towards Demon. One to the next. DC, they've just caught themselves to break the TP out. Resolution has the instead to cancel it. So Demon will die on the stairs. And that is some much needed room to breathe for Digital Chaos.
Careless maneuvers by the Drow Ranger. Nice smoke from DC. However, not at the best time for them. Roshan in that respawning phase. Ideally, you want to do it before Rosh, but it's often just way too obvious if you smoke around that time. Well, still, I think they like continuous damage to other team fights. Dragon Knight's really struggling for items.
Once he's got the BKB, life might get a lot easier.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm wondering how long until the Morphling finishes up his next. Is the E-Blade now completed on Cuckoo? So blink into shotgun. DC almost have to understand they don't have supports in these fights. Like, they just won't survive.
Radiant's
Unless
middle
Misery's all the
tower
way
is
back.
under attack.
At least he's now like 600 gold away from having the Aghanim Scepter. So that's a nice thing for him. I'm looking at Resolution picking up that ultimate orb.
Yeah, you're really just mostly worried about the Keeper of the Light dying, because he doesn't have Blink Dagger, he doesn't have that much HP, and he's the one that probably does the most damage in the fights. Without really doing that much, all he has to do is just press Illuminate and walk away. He can do upwards of 2,000 damage in the fight.
Move. Cuckoo wanted to go on him. He jumped to the replicant. Now waveforms forward. E-Blade past the damage. It's not enough to kill off Moo. And Cuckoo might be in a little bit too deep here. The Necro units are there burning off all the mana. So there's going to be no more strength for available for him. Moo lends the roar from the tree line. And Cuckoo pays the price. It was Drow on the top lane, being picked off by a good DC smoke. And now it was the over-aggressiveness of Cuckoo that will pay the price and give DC yet another advantage.
Soxa has to be happy about that one. It's a lot of gold going for him. He gets a monster streak kill and above 1,000 gold for that. So now they can get like maybe a Glimmer Cape to deal with the EB.
So DC starting to get items
Radiant's
up on
bottom
this floor, starting to
tower
get that
is
farm
under
we're looking
attack.
for. The rest of TNC.
Dire's top tower
They're still
is
on the
under
run
attack.
here, and Wild Blink, Lasso, Tusker, well, he just got 1,000 gold. He's going to give about almost 350 over to the Drow Ranger, and they're not done yet. Demon's still in the neighborhood. Resolution does have Song of the Siren if they want to try and catch up with the rest of TNC. After Demon does drop.
I bet he's wondering, how did they see me fit there? Demon Reserve Reward right to the left. Not a very common one, especially this late into the game. But it's also what they use to deal with the Drow Ranger, making sure the whole entire team wasn't behind.
Really smart play coming out from DC, exposing the weaknesses of TNC.
They need another gem though on the Naga Siren. They lost it a long time ago. She's had to buy back twice. Everyone's trying to get their items. Keeper's really close to the
Radiant's
edges.
middle
40 gold
tower
away.
is under
And
attack.
Dragon Knight definitely needs items, so I guess it's maybe on Beastmaster, but at 5,000 gold to help his team out. He could buy a refresher at this point, the most common build after Necro 3. Probably even better than the gem at this point.
Choices there. Aghanims took 36 minutes for Misery to get it. But now it's arrived, so they got the flying
Radiant's
vision, and
top
yep, there
tower
she
is
is.
under
The refresh
attack.
orb is up for move. So double roars, double necros. A lot of more sustain arriving because of this.
Yeah, they need double BKBs up on TNC. It's gotten to that point where ideally you want to break their base without the BKBs, but now they're too farm to snowball off your early game advantage, and now they have to
Radiant's
play it much
bottom
safer.
tower is under
Careful
attack.
not to throw away their lead. Roshan number 3 is up. She's at the ready.
How does the clock actually look for TNC? Like, is it Roshan to Aegis and then you have to go high ground? Like, do they have to bring down a Rax? Or is there still some good late game potential?
That's still good late game, because I don't think TC have a good way. DC have a good way to deal with the split push from the Morphling. They can use Manta eventually, maybe in one lane, replicate in one lane, Growl in one lane, Morphling, reinforcing one of the other lanes. And it's really only Nagasiren who's strong enough to deal with the wave. You can stall with like Keeper of Blinding Light, but that's only going to do so much. And Roshan going to be scouted out with a Hawk, but both of them died to the Mjolnir proc, and they will not have vision inside the pit. There's no way you can do it without vision here.
They were too far away anyway. There's no way they could stop TNC.
They have to
Roshan
already be there
has
with
fallen to the
Nagasiren.
Radiant.
And she has bought out. So she now has a gem, Diffusal Blade, but not enough money for buyback. One of the TNC's players would probably call out that, okay, she recently got Diffusal Blade, she bought back twice. There's no way that she can have enough gold. You're not like completely sure, but they've been buy-baiting a decent amount. You might be able to expect that from TNC. So Naga and Keeper, highest priority targets for TNC.
We'll see if they can get the jump. Again, we look towards Sam. More than likely, that Bat Rider did it for TNC in the past. Had a fantastic start.
Yeah, and now they know that Mu has Refresher.
Smoke up from DC, just on the back line, actually allows Mu to slip down through the top lane. He wants to jump in through the rear, now Blink BKB, up from Weeha. Who's your target? Goes all the way back with the Vengeful Spirit. No swap out, but they summon the Siren. It isolates the BKB target's resolution's going down too fast. It's the BKB from Batrider, the last to keep chasing him with the adaptive strike. It's 2 heroes down, make it 3. Weeha down into his own ranks. Mu has to just run away on no life, but they call it. GG! TNC take game number 1 against Digital Chaos.
Wow, that sleep at the end, it was BKB wars, but TNC is not strong enough. You can't fight that right there. That was crazy. I really like how they dealt with the Nagasiren though. They expected it coming in from DC, and then they prepared for it with their Jar Ranger, and then they had like the most